Okay, J. Aaron Tibia here with Mauricio Sulaiman. Mauricio, how's it going?
Doing great. I'm very excited. It's a big weekend for boxing here in Las Vegas.
We just had a little ceremony. WBC awarded two military veterans I guess a special belt for their service. Can you speak on that a little bit?
Yes, there's so many people willing to give their lives for anyone, for us.
Right.
They're the backstage heroes. They go into a ring without referee, without rules, and they're willing to give their lives for humanity. And we are very happy that PBC and the WBC were able to acknowledge them. We invited them to the fight. We gave them a miniature belt as a recognition. And they do a lot of work in the society with underprivileged kids and also adaptive sports. So I'm very proud of there's so many veterans that are out there that are willing to continue do their job to make this country better.
You mentioned something about I forget the gentleman's name, but that he took DeMarcus Corley into his house.
Yes, he's housing DeMarcus Corley in Las Vegas. DeMarcus moved here and he's working. So it's such an honorable Mr. Donovan what he has done. He has opened his home to a former champion and helps him. They help each other. They motivate each other, and it's just sensational.
Okay, so there's a ton of confusion, mostly online, Twitter, comment sections, and it's all regarding the WBC franchise belt situation. I just want to ask you a few questions, see if maybe we can clear some of that up.
Sure.
And I guess the first question I'll ask you, it came out in a recent interview to where I guess Lomachenko said that he didn't ask for the WBC franchise belt, and I think in an interview prior you mentioned that he did. So what is the truth behind that?
No, there's no lie or truth. It's a fact. His promotion company, Top Rank, contacted the WBC and requested the WBC board to consider designating him champion, the designation of the franchise champion. And we did do the voting, we did do the presentation in Cancun. Right. Lomachenko signed it. It's just I don't know. I don't understand so much fuss about the franchise.
Right.
If it was not important, nobody would talk about it. So it is important. Everybody has their own right for their opinion. But I am very confident that eventually it will prove to be a great step for the betterment of the boxing, of the sport. What the franchise designation does, it allows a few fighters of specific characteristics to grow the industry of the sport, to be able to go out and fight in different weight categories, to fight different champions, to fight the fights that the public wants to see. So I'm very confident. I understand and I take all the critics. I accept them, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Do you have any idea why Loma would, I mean, I don't want to say lie, I'll stop short of saying lie, but why he would say something that's not true? And actually he did show up to Cancun, he accepted the belt. If he asked for it, why then turn around and say, do you think there was some backlash?
It's not a belt. It's not a belt. It's the franchise designation is not a championship or a new title. It's just a designation where that WBC champion receives a list of benefits and a list of obligations. Right. So Lomachenko knew about it. I don't know why the interview it's in Ukrainian, so I don't know what he says, but maybe there was a confusion inside his team or in the wording or maybe it's what you're asked by the media. So I don't know, I just think it's secondary. The fact is that he understands it and he knows it and he's very appreciative, but I don't know what interview is all about.
So there isn't, so it's not a belt in itself and it can't be transferred, right? So if Loma were to fight the winner of Teofimo Lopez and Richard Comey, that's not for the undisputed. That's not for undisputed then, correct?
It is. He is the WBC champion. It's a technicality that is going to take time to understand, to give it, to shape it.
Right.
There's a lot of fuss about, then there's no undisputed. Well, I take as much more important the ability to have the highest fighter be able to compete against other champions in other weight categories, against the fact of the impossibility of being undisputed.
Right.
I don't know if I'm making sense. There have been in the history of the sport very few undisputed champions. And why? Because the mandatories get in the way and they get stripped. So this is a solution for that side of the rules, which serve very well in general, but they do a disservice to the sport in the very few cases. We are the ones who invented the mandatory designation, the mandatory challenger. The WBC invented that because Sonny Liston, because so many fighters waited 5-6 years to fight for the title. But there are certain fighters that make an era. Canelo is one, Lomachenko is another. They make the era of today, and they want to fight the best fights possible and continuously be fighting. So we'll see.
Well, I just two more questions about this, because it is, like I said, it's very confusing. It's interesting though too. If Haney were to fight the winner of Lopez and Comey, would that also be for undisputed, or how does that work out?
Well, Haney is a lightweight champion, and that's what you're digging into the areas where you can have a bit confusion, which is good. But what I'm saying is Haney is a young fighter who is making his way very strongly.
Right.
So if you want to confuse it, there's a confusion. Yes, there is confusion, but it's a positive confusion.
Right.
Let's see Haney fight that fighter, or let's see Lomachenko fight it. It's two great fights. That's why we want the best fights. Don't get wrapped up into the undisputed or not undisputed. This is the possibility. Without the fight, there's no discussion.
Right.
Let's see the fights happen. And then you call it whatever you want to call it. We want the fights. We want the fighters to be fighting the fights that people want.
So, and the last question on this, and I'll let you go, I'll let you get back to your day. Wilder, when asked about the possibility of the WPC franchise tag being placed on him, I don't know if he would change his mind, but at this point he said that he would probably pass on that because he likes the ideas of fighting mandatories.
We don't ask fighters.
Oh, well, so
we do not ask fighters to become franchise.
Well, either way, based on what you said, would it make sense for a heavyweight to even request to be a franchise champion?
One of the main elements of the franchise is the possibility
to move in weight.
To move
correct
up and down. So I don't think that would be a situation. Of course, if he requests it, the WBC would vote it. But it's one of the main elements, the ability to move up and down. And again, he has his opinion. He's welcome to have his opinion. It's unnecessary to have a WBC champion in contradiction with something that he's not familiar with. But I respect him, and I love Deontay. He makes us proud, and he's so active. He's fighting Ortiz, and if he wins, he's fighting Fury. He's got. So the franchise does not really apply because he's doing the fights that people want to see.
Any chance on Saturday night you see the WBC belt exchanging hands? Or you think Deontay holds on to it?
Absolutely. There's anytime you have a good heavyweight in the ring, there's a possibility of anything happening. Ortiz can punch, Wilder can punch, and they really want it. So it's going to be a great fight.
Mauricio, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
I hope I didn't beat you up too much.
No, I'm here to take the punches.
Okay.
As long as there are no low blows, because
no low blows. No low blows. Thanks a lot. Man.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.